Welcome back, everybody. Back here in the Sky Factory. So last time we spent some time in the Nether, upgrading our shuriken here. Got a couple levels of uh, sharpening or sharpness or sharper, whatever they call it there, uh, and also added the beheading somewhere around here. Remember where I threw them? I did go back off screen and just collect a bunch of wither skeleton skulls. Mainly, I was just trying to level up again, which I think I did. I don't know if I actually applied anything for it. Yeah, so I've got another modifier here. So real quick while I'm thinking about it, let me grab a diamond. Throw the diamond on here. And what this does, maybe it's an emerald. It's either a diamond or emerald, gives you like a 50% damage boost just across the board. So let's take a look at that. It's raising my ammo, but it's not. That raises the attack a little bit. For some reason, I was thinking it was a 50%. Increases durability. Maybe that's what it is, a 50% durability. No, those are durability. Never mind. Forget I said any of that. We'll worry about that later. Anyway, got some exciting news. So you see down here, I've got my refined storage kind of basic setup here. A little more than basic. Basic would literally be you'd have to have one of these solderers, just a regular grid, and the where's my monitor? This thing, the controller. So you'd have to have a controller. A solderer is required to make some of the parts that you have to make all this stuff with. You can see I've got stuff in here. This is like the advanced processors. You melt down diamond either in a furnace or in a solderer. Kind of acts as a furnace for some things. This is like the intermediate processor. Not sure what they actually call it. Improved processor. That's gold cooked down into these little processor bits. Printed silicon and then redstone completes the recipe into these guys here. These improved, advanced, and basic. Then the basic is just iron. Same recipe there. I went ahead and did 3 of them just because they're kind of slow until we can upgrade them. It just helps to have a couple of them, I found. So yeah, the controller, the grid, and you have to have some kind of storage. You can do these standalone storage blocks, but you have to make these parts either way. I just found it's easier. Those are good for like if you just need a little bit of storage in a remote location. But this disk drive, then you can make these storage disks, which are, like I said, you have to make all the parts anyway. It's just as easy to throw it in a disk storage housing and throw it in the disk drive. So I went ahead and made, I think I did a 16K. Yeah, 16K. So it's going to hold 16,000 individual items, which sounds like a lot, but we'll fill that up pretty quick probably. So yeah, that's just a bunch of these. It's 3 of these per 4K, which I don't know how you turn 3K into 4K, but that's okay. And then 3 4Ks plus a couple more of these processors, redstone, quartz, iron, into the 16K. And then of course it makes sense that would continue to the next stage of 64K. There's the biggest storage for items that you can build. There's also the fluid storage, which holds a bunch more. They start at 64K all the way up to 512. Anyway, so I kind of got it. I was trying not to set it up too much, but everything has to be connected, and then you have to have the solderers to make the things, so I just went ahead and built it, put it all together. The crafting grid is just the upgraded grid. It has the crafting table in it, so we can pull items. Just throw a couple things in here. If we were trying to make something, whatever it was, you could just throw it in the grid there. I made this by accident. I was thinking that was the disk drive, but it's not. So basically what this will do is allow you to, if you've got a couple disks in here that are full and you want to like change them, upgrade them to bigger disks, if you pull the disk out, it's going to take whatever's stored in it out of the system as well. The disk manipulator allows you to kind of move stuff from disk to disk while keeping it in the system. Crafting monitor is for when we get into automated crafting. You can teach this thing how to make stuff. Then you just go into the grid and it'll show in here things that it knows how to make. And then you can just tell it how many you want, assuming you have all the parts and stuff. It'll go ahead and do it, and then this gives you a kind of an overview of what it's auto crafting. The pattern grid here, you teach this thing patterns to teach it how to make. So if we wanted to be able to make these diamond nuggets, you make the recipe over here. I always keep this OR dictionary selected so that, like, if you're using planks, for example, if you have spruce planks instead of oak planks, it's going to use those because they're all OR dictionaried as just planks. So whatever the recipe is you want to build, you got blank patterns here, and then you create the pattern and chuck that into one of these crafters back here. It only holds, they only hold a certain amount, so if you run out of space there, you have to build several. So I've got two just waiting for some things I've already got planned on auto crafting. So yeah, you throw the patterns that you teach it in here, and then in the grid it'll show you the things that you taught it how to do. This process pattern encoder is for things that aren't like shapeless crafting stuff that may not actually be in here. Kinda, I'm not 100% sure. I've used it a couple times, but it's been a while, so I'll have to like refresh my memory on that. But it's kind of the same deal. You teach it a recipe here. You show it what it's supposed to end up like. Like, you actually have to have the items to. Actually, I don't. Maybe you don't. I don't know. I'm getting out of my depth here a little bit. But basically, you put a recipe here, what it's supposed to end up into, select OR dictionary or not, and a blank pattern, and then it'll put that into the pattern. So yeah, that's kind of a brief overview of what I got going on here. So the next step is going to be just move all of this stuff out of here into our system there. I'm not going to do that right away. That's something I can do off camera because it's going to take a few trips. I also went ahead and made this basic drawer that I've been talking about for like pretty much the beginning of this series and haven't ever made one. So I finally made one. It's just the basic single drawer that you can make. This guy right here, just a chest and some planks. And I did go ahead and upgrade. I had some emeralds that I started collecting from my dust sieving, and I had a upgrade template already left over because I made a key. I was talking about it at some point and never did, to lock those loot bag drawers so it retains the memory of what was in them and it won't allow other things to go in it. So yeah, these upgrades, when you make those, they come in pairs. So I had an extra one. So I went ahead and just made the largest stack upgrade to put in here. If you kind of get right to the top of the drawer, shift right click, yeah, it'll show you the upgrades. Unlike some storage mods, you don't have to go in order as far as the tiers of upgrades. You can just make whichever tier that you want or are able to make. Each one upgrades the base storage by, this one's 2, this one's 3, 5, 8, and 13. The way these things work is each drawer can have up to 5 upgrades, whatever 5 that you want. So I'm going to eventually probably have this thing with 4 of these emerald upgrades, and then a void upgrade, which is going to basically, once this thing reaches full capacity, it's still going to pump items into it, but then anything over its capacity that it can hold, it just voids out into nothing. So that once we automate this with a machine, this is where I'm going to do my infernium essence farm. It'll allow the machines to keep running and keep pumping the stuff through without just clogging the whole system up. And then I went ahead and pulled all the infernium essence out of here, as you can see. So yeah, that's where we left off. And actually, I was thinking first things first today. Let's open up some of these loot bags. So on that note, let's get right into this. So let's check out what we got here. Come over here to my refined storage area, so I can put this stuff in here that I'm not going to use right away probably. And eventually I'm going to make some pipes and put a grid somewhere around here accessible, so we don't have to keep running down here to access this system. I just wanted to get it up and running a little bit. So let's see what we got. Oh. Well, that's kind of fortunate and unfortunate at the same time. That's fine. I'm going to need more of those anyway, so it's cool that I got one. Diamond boots, we've got some. I guess I could just take the new ones and chuck the old ones, right? Let's see what else. Oh, nice. This is good. I'm going to need 12 of these. This is the only way to get them, so keep them coming. Let's go to more diamond stuff. I'll put the helmet on. And I guess we'll go ahead and retire the old MJ pants, since these are a little bit better. And our helmet that we made. So yeah, actually, as you can see, this has +3 armor, +2 toughness. This thing just doesn't have the toughness. That's why I used that before instead of using up diamonds. Ah, man, we are getting super lucky. Another one of those. That's good. And this is magic right here. This draconium dust. These 4 pieces will smelt down to ingots, and then we can draconium. We can make these draconium seeds. We need 4 ingots, and this is the only way, other than maybe the chickens, which is, I'm not even 100% sure about that. I think this is the only way you can get these 4 ingots to make the seed to start collecting a bunch of that stuff. But we're not really close to that yet. And I don't think, yeah, I don't see any chicken eggs. So I think, yeah, those loot bags are the only way, the legendary bags are the only way to get these initial 4 draconium. So that's awesome. And we get 4 more, another end. Man, we are killing it with the drops today out of these loot bags. And I'm really almost tempted to, well, I still need end portals. So I was going to say I pretty much have got everything I've won out of these at this point. Let's take a look at what they hold. These Supremium apples are pretty good. Eventually we can just make them. It would be nice if it dropped us a couple though. These octadic capacitors are a pain in the butt to make, so that any of those that it gives us would be, you know, good times. I won't be turning those down. I don't know what that is. We got draconium. Manulin, that's another good one. That's a good metal for weapons and tools and stuff. Don't really care about the diamond stuff. These would be fine if we got these. It wouldn't be upset. So yeah, basically we're just down to end portals. Once we get those, we can stop upgrading to legendary and start collecting some of the other stuff. Anyway, getting sidetracked. Oh, dude, killing it, just killing it. Wither skulls. That's cool. I've got a few of those already, but 3 is what you need to summon 1 wither, so that's good. More draconium. Keep that stuff coming. Ah, nice. I never get this fucking lucky with these bags, dude. I'm not even gonna take that out. I'll just leave those in there. More dust. This thing, I don't know what it does, but it looks cool. Like it could be important. More draconium. And some pants. We don't need those. Just chuck them right off the side there. Awesome, dude. That is super cool. So we're what, a third of the way to the what we need for an end portal, and we're getting pretty close to. Where did scared me for a second. I thought it like just disappeared. I had my sorting on the showing only craftables. Let's see. I'll keep those. I'll go throw those in the drawer. Excuse me, a little bit of frog in my throat there. Go ahead and throw that in there. Apple. Don't need any of this stuff right now. I'm gonna chuck those. Put that in this thing, those skulls. Chicken manure. And that's actually something I was thinking about earlier too. Before I get too crazy with planting the infernium essence, I want to make some fertilized dirt, which is just a piece of dirt wrapped around with the chicken manure. I haven't actually ever used it, but from what I've read, it significantly increases the growth rate of the whatever's planted in the dirt. So that's cool, man. Super cool. So this bean in there. Let's go ahead and just trash these. Goodbye. Go chuck these into the drawer here. So yeah, these drawers, the base, this type of drawer anyway, can hold 32 stacks of whatever you put in it. It can only hold 1 item, but it can hold 32 stacks of it. Whether that's these stacked to 64 or like ender pearls only stacked to 16, whatever, however big a stack is, it'll hold 32 of them. Then the emerald multiplies that by 13, so it goes from 32 just with 1 emerald upgrade to 416 stacks, and then 2 more. So we're looking at almost 1,300 stacks times 64. That's quite a bit of this stuff, but we're gonna need it. We're gonna need boatloads of that. Awesome. So let's just let's do a quick kind of overview of the mystical agriculture. Gonna need some of this stuff. Gonna need at least 1 diamond for right now. Gonna need a few seeds. Struggling to find anything. I need to get this stuff moved into that system so I can just search for it. A few of those. Some more of these. Some seeds. Where's my seeds? And I've got seeds. Here we go. That's plenty. So let's take a look at this mystical agriculture. So like I said, there's a ton of stuff in here. What we're looking for right now is not the crafting seeds. Inferium? It's kind of a weird word. I always thought it was infernium. Maybe that's just because I'm biased. I don't know. So anyway, that's just some of this essence wrapped around a seed. That's for tier 1. Basically, this will give you 1 drop of this inferium per plant. As you harvest it, it'll give you 1 of these. The tier 2 gives you 2, tier 3 gives you 3, etc., all the way up to tier 5, which we'll want to get to at some point. But that's going to take a ton of this stuff and a ton of seeds, and you'll see. So to get to tier 2, we need a tier 1, and then we need the tier 2 prudentium, which is this infusion crystal, and 4 infernium. I'm just going to call it infernium. So 4 of those turns into 1 of these. So in order to get these, that's what 4 times 7 is 28. And then, you can just see how it exponentially just gets crazy, crazy. So just to make one of these tier 5 seeds, you need like, I don't know the math. I'm not going to do it, but it's a lot. So anyway, we need to make one of those crystals, which is that stuff there. I need to go grab some of this. And I'm actually going to, probably after this episode, I'm going to run a cable back over to my refined storage system so I can access that crate from the system. And then I'm just going to teach that thing how to do this stuff because it's tedious and boring and I didn't get enough. Yeah, so the sooner we can do that, the sooner life gets a little bit easier. There we go. So let's go ahead and make a crystal. And I want to make... I guess I'll just go ahead and do however many I can do here. Is that... Oh, okay, it's like this, right? Yeah, like that. It's like that. And like this and like that. And sorry. I like to sing, but I'm not any good at it, so I apologize in advance for any future attempts to sing. Actually, I screwed this up. I'm sure y'all probably noticed by now. Basically what I did is I lined it up from this thing and then just kind of laid it out and then didn't account for the fact that I had extra bits over here. But what I was thinking, there are these growth, I can't spell today, these growth accelerators? Growth crystals, take growth accelerators. Yeah, it's still only 9 by 9 though. I want to get to at least a couple of these tier 2s. The tier 3s are pretty, you gotta have dragon eggs for that. That's something that we're not quite ready to do yet. But I can do these tier 2s pretty easily. This is, I'll have to make this in power. I was looking at it before. It doesn't seem to be too terribly difficult, but at the very least I do want this. But basically what these things do is they just cover a 9 by 9 patch of farmland and accelerate the growth. I was thinking the tier 3s had a larger range than 9 by 9, but apparently not. Anyway, let's just go ahead and get some of this stuff planted. I just want to go ahead and start getting a little bit of this stuff growing just to have a steady source of it. You get a little bit. It looked like a lot, but that's really not much out of the mob farm, just from mobs have a chance to drop the stuff. But it's not a crazy lot once we start really using that stuff up. But what I want to do, probably before I get too crazy into that, is get my chicken farm set up so I can start collecting manure. I know I have some, probably not a whole lot. I thought I had some. I might have just thrown it all away. Again, the chickens can drop it, like these passive chickens over here, but it's not nearly enough for what we're going to need. So I think that's my next step, is just to set up this chicken farm over here so I can start collecting that stuff, start turning this dirt into fertilized dirt. Then I can fill this thing up and then set up automation with the farmer. There's a farming station that'll do that stuff for us and pipe it into that crate there, get that hooked up to the system over here. So yeah, everything's kind of intertwined at this point. But let's take a look just real quick here at I think it's hatchery is the mod name. Yeah, so we're going to need to get an animal net just super easy. This allows us to pick the chickens up and move them around. We're going to need some of these nesting pens to set the chickens in, which is just planks. These nests are bays of hail. Bays of hail? Yeah, that sounds good. Let's go with that. Chicken feeders to keep them fed. And then these monitors. I have to make probably, I don't know, half a dozen of these. What those are going to do is when we start to breed these chickens, it'll separate the baby chickens from the adult chickens. Just helps to keep them, manage them a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and make all that stuff off camera here and get it set up in this area here, and then start getting that chicken poop. We need the chicken shit to get the things, to make the dirt, to do the stuff, to make the things. Yeah. So yeah, that's where we are today. A lot of exciting stuff is on the horizon. This thing is super exciting. I'm way excited about this, having this already. So yeah, we'll call that an episode for today. We'll catch you next time. Hope everybody's having a great day. See you later, folks.